Alright guys, this is Siren with Startup.Security. Welcome to Module 7. This is SlayerLabs Kinetic, finding the range. So we've enumerated out a domain controller, and now we're kind of ready to take a look at a Class C. And we also recall that we also enumerated out that domain controller as DC Kinetic, which only took a couple of minutes. Now we're ready to move on to finding the machines that are alive in our target scope. And in the real world, you're going to have a target scope as well. So we're kind of going to be mimicking that here. More specifically, we're not just going to be doing a quick scan, but we're also going to be doing a more aggressive scan and highlighting the low-hanging fruit, right? Trying to identify a machine that will land us a real Active Directory user. Remember from the previous module, our goal has not changed. We want to land a real Active Directory user, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I've gone ahead and created a directory called Class C Recon. We're going to go into Class C Recon, and you'll see there's nothing in there. What we're going to do is just do a quick scan to discover which machines are online in the range. Step 1, which machines are online and serving ports. Step 2, we're going to take a look and say, based on that, we're going to output each IP address to its own specific file. We're going to extract the IP addresses from that file, and then, you guessed it, we're going to do one more scan to perform one more scan that is more aggressive in terms of results that we get back. That'll be with the -A flag. So let's go ahead and get down to business. We have Nmap -S, we'll do -s, capital S, -- top ports about 300, and we'll say on 10.65.1.15 through 255, that's our authorized scope, -- min rate of 2000, and that's it. We're going to output this to online and hit the return key. Oh, we got to run that with sudo privileges. So sudo nmap -ss -top -ports 300 10.65.15 through 255 with the min rate of 2000 and output that to online. Let's go. And we'll punch in our sudo password and we're ready to rock. This shouldn't take too long, but the general idea is that we don't want our recon phase to be too long. We want to be able to go ahead and get the online hosts pretty much as quick as possible. And now we have a file called online with a bunch of machines in it. Pretty awesome. Now we're going to take this, and I'm going to use a grep command with a bunch of regular expressions. Don't bother about making sense out of this. The long story short is that this grep command is going to essentially, we're going to cat online, we're going to pipe all that. See how we cat online? It displays everything in the file. Okay, we're going to cat online, and we're going to pipe that to this grep command that's going to output everything that is just an IP address. And we'll call this IPs online. Or we'll call this online refined. That's even more refined. So now we're going to cat online refined, and we've got a target list of IP addresses in our scope. Now we're going to nmap -p, we'll do -- top ports. This time we'll do -- top ports 500. And we're going to say our input, it's not going to be 10.16.15 or .1.15 through 255. We're going to say that would take way too long. Now we have just, instead of 255 machines for Nmap to scan, we only have this many, which is a lot shorter list. So we're going to say dash lowercase I, capital L is for an input file as online refined. And we'll say dash capital A, dash SV, so, or dash SV, dash A, and dash dash min rate of 2000 dash dash open, and we'll output this to Nmap. And this is going to be our complete scan. Also, I'm going to drop a sudo on this as well. So sudo nmap top 500 ports, service version, dash A aggressive scan, dash IL. This is from an input list of host. This is our host discovery phase. So we had our host discovery phase, and now we've got that, and we've called that online refined. And there's a min rate here of 2000 to shorten the scan, and we're only interested in performing a script scan on online machines. We'll output that to Nmap, and then that is what is going to be going inside of our cherry tree. I'll spare you. This will take a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause on this recording, and then I'll resume it once the script scanning is complete. All right, so our scan is completed and everything is in that Nmap file. You can list out the directory. There it is. You know the drill. We're going to copy all of this and we're going to bring it over into Cherry Tree. So let's go ahead and select all of this. Just look at the plethora of information. Don't worry, that's basically what we're going to be going over in this video. So we have up through Nmap Scan report for .1.20. I'm going to copy this, and all we're going to be doing this video is trimming this down. We have a, oh, it did not copy. That's okay. We can start from the top and go to the bottom. That also works as well. But we'll copy all of this, and boom. Now we're ready to snip this up, basically to snip up all of this output. So some of these are coming back as TCP wrapped. We could go back and individually scan these machines down, but we're being pretty quick and pretty efficient about things. So you're gonna see I'm just gonna get rid of all this bottom information here that we don't really need. I'm gonna get rid of this top information. What we really want our scans to be is nice and concise. We're gonna separate. I like to have a separator between each machine. So I'll just add a bunch of equal signs down to the next machine, and that's just for added clarity, right? So am I concerned with the trace route information? No, but do I want the SMB information? Yeah, that's stuff that I do want. And then Nmap Scan report for 10.65.1.21, some more TCP wrapped, that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and delete this information, delete the trace route information, add another separator, some spacing, and that's really about it. I mean, we want to clean up the top, clean up the bottom of each scan, and add a separator in between. So you'll see me go through, clean up the top, clean up the bottom, and clean up that trace route. Now we're at .27. This is the manual part that if you do it, it will pay off in like by leaps and bounds. It will pay off. So we'll go to trace route here. We'll delete that information. We're also going to delete all of this information as well, like the OS script aggressive scan. It does OS discovery like dash capital O, and it's not always correct. We can get back that this is, you know, OpenSSH for Windows, running Windows Server 2008 R2. Because this entire machine, or this entire range is actually just Windows machines. That's all it is, 100% Windows machines. So going through here, cleaning up the top, going down, cleaning up the OS results, or the OS scan results, going down and cleaning up the trace route data, and then on to the next one, cleaning up the top, cleaning up this OS scan result here and any warnings up through there. We just want that port state service version. Host script results and cleaning up the trace route. And then I'm going to paste in another separator, cleaning up the top and cleaning up the bottom here. Here's some of that. See, you get quicker at it as you go. But this is really useful if you have a week for an engagement. To be able to get this kind of information out like within the first 20 to 30 minutes is, you know, incredibly impressive to your stakeholders. You could have this in the form of an HTML report as well. But yeah, definitely. So we'll take all of this, paste that down there, and just keep cleaning up the output. TCP IP fingerprint, we'll get rid of that. Like, do we care about the network distance being 2 hops? Excuse me, not really. Not really. Trace route, no, we're not interested in that as well. And let's take a look around here. Boom, clean that up, clean up the top, clean up the bottom trace route, there it is. Add a separator and clean up the top for that scan. And you can see we're basically almost done. We are almost done. And that way we have output in our notation platform of our choice. I encourage cherry tree, but you can do whatever you like. Whatever makes you happy. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's legible. And there we go. Cleaning up the trace route information, the top, the bottom, you know the drill. And then .42, we're cleaning up the top portion here. You know, host is up, not shown, 497 filtered. Some closed port, just show me that this is the Nmap Scan report and port state service version. And then here's the trace route. So we don't need that either. And we'll go ahead and clean up this information. Top, cleaning up this middle portion here with the OS guess, guessing the OS detection portion up through the ports, and cleaning up the trace route. And if you need to pause or rewind, then just take your time. There's no rush. There's no rush at all. And that's it. Look at that. We have gotten back a lot of, just a lot of information. And now we have if as far as our enumeration is concerned, we've got SlayerLabs, we've got Kinetic. We haven't collected any intel on the range yet, but we do have an active recon scan. And it didn't take us that long at all. The next stage is to go through and highlight the ports, any services. So now we need to, I'm going to put this up here because I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do it and then I'm going to unpause it and show you kind of where my mind is at. 1, highlight the open ports that we have to work with straight up. 2, highlight the service or protocol itself. 3, then you're going to see me highlight any OS information, highlight any versioning information, that is service version information, and also highlight any additional verbose information that we could deem useful in the future. I am going to pause the video. I'm going to go through. I'm going to highlight everything, and that way you can just kind of see me scroll. And also, remember to go to File and Save. Save all of your output. That was a lot of work. We don't want to lose it, so remember to save your work. And voila, it's done. I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and we're going to go over it. You'll notice I've got everything highlighted here. I've got the IP address. I mean, just look at the difference in what 10 to 15 minutes can do just by highlighting the ports, the service, and any versioning information that's deemed important. Look at what a difference it can do, so you're not just staring at a bunch of white text. This is what I encourage you to do for every machine you encounter in the world of penetration testing. Like, this is the kind of stuff I really, really encourage you to do. So now, in a matter of, not too long at all, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, we've enumerated out the target network. There may be a few other machines online. There definitely are. If we look at our target scope here, there are a few machines missing from the scan. Don't worry. The reason for that is because they could be internal networks. They could be segregated. You'll see here we have our initial access where pivoting is not necessary, and we have pivoting necessary for some machines here. And then the final level where pivoting is definitely necessary as well. Some of these machines are not going to come back. Some of them will. But at the same time, we've created a very clear, even without this information at all, we've come back with our own network map under Active Recon Scan. Remember, that's under our Active Recon Scan. And now we're ready to move on to basically finding low-hanging fruit and seeing, which of these might be susceptible to some Active Directory vulnerabilities. And the reason we want to do that is it's not so much looking for the Active Directory vulnerability, it's looking for a foothold. Remember what I was talking about by looking for a foothold. We want to establish a foothold in a network, and this one is extremely verbose. It looks like it's running an outdated version of Windows 7. This kind of just stands out to me as something that we could potentially hit with Eternal Blue. So what are the next steps? What is the next step involved in this and getting to our ultimate goal, which is domain admin? So not just the domain server itself or DNS, but domain administrator. What's our next step? We need to land a foothold. So we're going to get that foothold. We're going to try and extract an AD user and get their credentials from what we call post-exploitation enumeration. So post-exploitation enumeration is going to take place, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're able to actually get some Active Directory user information that we can then use. We can use that information to enumerate the entire network. This is a partial version of the network. I want to conclude on this. This is a partial version of the network, but we had it in 15 minutes. If we can land a pretty significant scan, and we can land within the first 15 to 20 minutes, and we can land other things, then we're setting ourselves up for success. Again, I just really want to emphasize this. It took us 15 to 20 minutes, and we've performed a very concise scan of the target network. We've enumerated out or done preliminary enumeration on the target services, versions, and even done script scanning. Our next step is to target the lowest hanging fruit, which out of all of these machines, we got the most verbose information back from .38, and it seems to be running an extremely outdated version of Windows. Something like this to me stands out as vulnerable. Now, if we can't get in through the web surface on 80 or 443, a big hint to how we're getting into this service is through 139 and 445. The fully qualified domain name is spacepro.kinetic.court. We managed to scan down the target scope, our authorized target scope, within 10 to 15 minutes. We were able to identify online IPs, and we basically were in a Class C. You can think of it as a DMZ or demilitarized zone. From here, we'd be looking to pivot internally That means we'd have to compromise these machines and then pivot into internal networks, right? So at this point though, let's recap on our goals and objectives. We want to compromise one of these machines. One of these machines needs to be compromised in order for us to get access to a real Active Directory user. If you think that this is a map, imagine what's going to happen once we actually compromise a machine, land a foothold that we talked about earlier, and actually get back some information that we can use to pipe into something like Bloodhound. That's right. We'll be utilizing Bloodhound in order to map out the entire network. So stick with me. Hopefully you found this module enjoyable on our preliminary enumeration in our active reconnaissance. In the next module, we're going to be exploiting this machine here, it looks like, .1.38, running Windows 7 Professional. Nowadays we're on Windows 11, so this is a very outdated machine. And yeah, we're gonna be taking a look at it. We're gonna compromise it, and we see that Active Directory is running here. We know that from the highlighted information. We know that it's running, so there's a high chance that we're gonna be able to find ourselves, and we're getting back script results. Like, there's a really high chance that we're gonna get back an Active Directory user here. But aside from that, guys, my name is Siren with Startup Security, and I will catch you in the next module. Peace out.